Hello everybody, welcome back. It's of course Cape Rugby TV time, where every week we take a look at what's happening in the world of Western Province Club Rugby. It's nice to have you here. And of course we've got a pile of things to talk to you about. But before we get going, let me just say, of course, big thanks to our partners on board with us, Score Energy Drinks. We're going to explain to you a little bit later in the show how you can win for yourself a case of Score Energy Drinks. Of course, Decro Paints is on board with Cape Rugby TV. We'll give you your Decro DIY tip a little bit later. And of course, MChem 24-hour pharmacy on the corner of N1 and Durban Road. You would have seen it there behind me a second ago. Back in studio with me, Jerome Parvat. Jerome, nice to have you back.
Good to be back again, JP.
And Faziel Felton, nice to have you back, man.
Yeah, always good to be back, second time. Looking forward again.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I've got a pile of friendlies. I've got a bunch of regional Super League fixtures. We've got women's rugby to look at. We know that you guys had your lead. It's been a busy week. This last 2 weeks, Faziel, I feel like it almost is sped up. I mean, I know you guys came back to work sort of in the first week of January, and then it was a lot of admin and so on. But it feels like that preparation culminated in the last 2 weeks.
No, definitely. I think with planning and that, JP, the season kicking off less than a month, probably just over a month to go. A lot of stuff that we need to tick the boxes for. So I think this last 2 weeks, can cover up the last 2 months and that. And I think, from Denzel's side, he's got his hands full. There's so much happening, so much to be done. Even weekends now, it's no longer. Planning is done over the weekends as well. So, yeah, it's going to be.
How does it impact you? How much of an impact for you guys is it the things like the Varsity Cup happening at the same time? There's, of course, Stormers that are playing from time to time at the Cape Town Stadium. Does that have an impact at all on your club momentum, or is it completely separate?
To a certain extent, I would say completely separate. I think if we start focusing on what's happening on the other side, then we tend to forget what we need to do. So, I mean, this past weekend, Monday night, was Varsity Cup. People say, it was Varsity Cup, and we had a workshop. I think we'll probably chat about it later. But, I mean, you can see the hunger's there from the club guys. So I think from the officer side is making sure, we've got, the workshops going. From Jerome's side, the coaching courses are going, the trainees going. So when we kick off, in April, the guys are ready to go from admin. And, sometimes I say that's the time we have a break, but actually, it's the season running and, stuff is busy again. Because
I think one of the things, and Jerome, I'm going to come to you in a second, but I mean, one of the things, Faziel, before I go to Jerome, is that obviously anything rugby related in the province must be endorsed by you guys. Whether it's Varsity Cup, event at the Cape Town Stadium, a social rugby match, it doesn't matter what it is. If you play rugby at all in Western Province, then you have to be somehow linked up with Western Province, endorsed, because heaven forbid something happens. You're the first one to get the phone call.
100%, JP. I think a lot of people don't understand. They just think, you got too much of red tape, and why must we do this? Why must you get a clearance certificate? So there's a number of boxes that you need to tick. If you look for it as a clearance, you need to check whether guy's under suspension, whether he can't move. So, having events, there's a number of things, event permit that needs to be in place.
That was the other thing,
so from our side, it's just making sure there's compliance. So making sure that our clubs, the passion is there, the guys are, very passionate. They want to play rugby on a Saturday, but there's certain things we've got to keep on remind. Guys, make sure referee comes from the union. It's not controlling from our side, gatekeepers. It's more about making sure if something should happen, you've ticked the box. So it's safeguarding the clubs.
Yeah, and in fact, we are going to talk about safeguarding about that in the other context a little bit later, folks, because safeguarding is very topical at the moment and a high priority and a non-negotiable across the country. But we'll talk to you about safeguarding. We'll also explain some of the dynamics of safeguarding. But Jerome, I'm going to come to you first. Same question, in fact. While you're busy dealing with education and coaching and a number of things like that, the same question applies. Because is it disruptive for you? Because maybe if you're busy with let's say, for example, you're doing a coaching workshop on a Monday. Are a lot of your coaches not going to the Varsity Cup? Or if you're busy with a coaching workshop on a Saturday, are they not going to go watch the Stormers?
No, that's why, JP, with me and Faziel working together, we had a discussion yesterday because I planned something for next week, but next week they have something on. That's why the calendar is so important. So we not trying to get people in when they're busy and when I'm busy, so because we need everybody on the same page. And we look at the dates And we don't want clubs to say, yeah, but, and like you say, yeah, I'm not there because I'm going to the Varsity Cup or whatever. So we look and we know when they play.
Yeah.
And one thing that you were mentioning about the varsities earlier on, and I must say because I'm helping CPUT, so they are preparing for the league also. So they have some students, the same with UCT and Marty's and UWC.
Yeah,
I see
yeah,
UWC also. So they're preparing for the league also, which is good.
So it's not,
the
all,
extra
it's not
guys,
all only about the
no,
first
it's not
team.
about the Varsity Cup only,
Yeah,
about that,
yeah.
because they know there's no time. So there's a certain amount of players who don't qualify to play for varsity, who's older, but they still at the university.
Yeah.
And so they all prepared. So that is good to see that they're actually serious about the league also.
Yeah, so Faziel, one of the things then that is obviously really important is that, and we're going to talk about leadership, the workshop that you guys had on Monday in a second, but just touching sort of on what Jerome was saying, is obviously really important that you have allocated roles at your club. So when it is something that Jerome needs or your referee society needs, they are specific to their roles. So you're not the coach and the manager and the referee and the umpire. The more roles you've got defined, the less doubling up there is.
No, 100% JP, and I think what Jerome latched onto early on is that, you've got club rugby department, you've got coaching, you've got refereeing. Each one has their own role and function.
Yeah.
And I think the same applies to a club. I think what we've got to understand is, clubs are no longer, you're having a one-man show that runs and does everything. We need to understand and define those roles. So when Jerome has coaching workshops, it's clearly defined, okay, send your coach. I think from club rugby side now, what we're trying to do going forward now, we had these workshops, we had the governance. It's about trying to relay, the message out there in the sense of identify people that you feel, is capable, that can fulfill that role. From the officer side is having those workshops,
and step into
that leadership.
Yeah.
If you've got a coach, what is required and needed? So we're going to be doing a sort of a full audit in terms of clubs, but it's basically to see what we have, but also to see what needs there are, capacity building. From coaching side, what is required? Level 1, level 2. We have the level 2. You have the 2.5 from Jerome's side to start identifying these guys to fulfill, the roles.
Yeah. So Jerome, I mean, in some cases, am I right? In some cases, you've got players who are coaches also. They play and coach. So you might even have coaches they coach and they're a referee.
Yeah.
So if you were to, for example, have a coach's workshop on a Tuesday, the coach is saying, but I have to practice. Do you have that sort of doubling up?
That's why, JP, for years now within Western Province, we know Wednesday evenings, it's what we can use.
Okay.
We don't use a Monday or Tuesday or Thursday in a weekend, because that's where the club. So the only time that we can use, so we make our calendar, it's on a Wednesday.
But that is part of what you're saying, Faziel, is, or just to touch on what Jerome said, the calendar itself. It's obviously really you guys must spend quite a lot of time coordinating, because you've got so many different departments. You've got the school rugby department, you've got the referees department, you've got the club rugby department, the education department, you've got the youth structures, and then of course you've got the professional structures. And then even in that space, you've got under 19s and you've got seniors, not to mention the fact that you've still got Craven Weekend, those structures as well. So getting your diary right must be a real challenge.
No, definitely. I think that's why, at the beginning of the year, we do our planning for the year. Again, there is stuff that comes up, that we feel there's a need for. From Jerome's side, if it's last minute, we need to look at lineouts, specifics we add in. But everything is done, we coordinate everything in one calendar, and basically we work from there. But, also coming back, I just wanted to say to you, a couple of years ago, we would have courses, for first aid. You would have your chairman's workshops, all of these stuff.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to carry on talking about this conversation. We've kind of laid the platform for you now. Back in a sec.